Welcome everyone for joining us today for our webcast on blockchain magnitude. So I'm very pleased to be joined by blockchain enthusiast Mr. Bhaskar Banerjee. He is the CEO of Business Software India, having enormous knowledge in blockchain technology and extensive experience in developing number of projects for blockchain.
Hello everyone.
Today we are going to have a deep look at the multiple spectrum of blockchain technology. Now I want to turn the discussion over to Mr. Bhaskar on the implementation of blockchain. Mr. Bhaskar, first of all, I would like to know what is the precise definition of blockchain. What is blockchain?
You see, the blockchain is nothing but a DLT, that is a distributed ledger technology. The distributed ledger is a ledger which is distributed among different devices. Like you can consider it a database system, a transactional database, where but unlike the conventional database system, it's not centralized. So there will be a nodes, and each nodes will be having the same copy of the blockchain, that same ledger, and those ledgers will be validated by the nodes, and that's how this is the different from the traditional RDBMS system and other. I mean, in many ways, it is different than the RDBMS system. It doesn't have the relationship and all. But if you consider as just storing the data, the main point comes is the data integrity. If you consider a centralized database system, there you can go, you can change the value, whatever the value the database is having. But here, all the value, if you are changing, if you are pushing, so everything is chain linked. So your current value is linked to the previous value. So if you want to change the value, you have to if you want to manipulate the value, it will not allow you to do that, because if one node pushes the wrong value, other nodes will be declining that value. Other nodes will not be approving that value, and the DLT technology based on that all the nodes, all the participating nodes, it has to be the majority of the approval. That is called consensus. So consensus has to come from the majority of the nodes to be approved by all the nodes, and there comes the benefit and the usability of blockchain. That is the integrity and the transparency of the entire data.
Mr. Bhaskar, what will you like to explain about the improvement of digital life of people with the help of blockchain technology?
Our modern life is very much dependent on the technology, which we say digital life. Now, in the technology, mostly is based on the data. We are using banking system, we are using education system like school, colleges, going to hospital, using the retail chain to buy stuff. We are using discount system, apps, everything. So basically, everything is dealing with the data in our life, and those data somewhere sit in a centralized system. Every provider is storing their data in their, even if we talk about the cloud, it's nothing but the storing the data in a centralized system. Maybe it's a cluster of server, but still it's a centralized data. So in a case of network intrusion or hacking attempt, one can go into that the server, any server. They can change the data. In past, it happened with many financial institutions. The hackers broke into their server, they changed the value, and they took out the money. And one bank's account, if a hacker breaks into a bank server, if they change the value and if they take out the money, they're taking the money of people, not the bank, because bank is having the people's money. This is what is when it comes to the blockchain, it becomes impossible because the immutability nature of that blockchain. So you cannot change a past value because it's changed. So each node, each link is connected to one. So one data is connected to the previous one. That's how the entire chain has been built. So in between, if you change any data, the entire chain breaks. Even for the new data, if you enter a data which is not valid, then and it is not linked to the previous one, then it won't be validated by the entire network, and the value won't be inserted into the blockchain. That's how the immutability comes, and that's how the data integrity is highest in blockchain, other than traditional database system. I'm not saying that the blockchain can replace traditional database system, because it's a different kind of engine, different technology. Where RDBMS is having relationships and lots of things which is blockchain is not having, but it is having its own purpose and in own place when it comes to the data integrity and immutability of the data. So maybe combination of things will work, but blockchain is very important when it comes to store data securely, immutable data, and when it comes to the data integrity.
Mr. Bhaskar, I'm really curious to know about the future of cryptocurrency. We all know that cryptocurrency is a well known business factor nowadays. But apart from that, crypto is like be cautious. So, how is the scenario of blockchain amid ban of cryptocurrency?
Well, cryptocurrency is is a bit tricky part of the blockchain. Although the journey of blockchain has been started with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, but you have to consider the cryptocurrency and blockchain is basically a separate thing. Cryptocurrency is a combination of multiple things. Blockchain is part of one, I mean, a small part of that. So you need many things to make a cryptocurrency. And if you go in the legal part, then cryptocurrency becomes, very tricky, because lots of things which doesn't support within our legal framework. First thing, if you go by the nature of blockchain and the cryptocurrency, how it's laid out, the technology, it is very difficult to regulate it. I mean, technically regulate it. If you want to bypass a regulation, you can easily do that. So I don't know the future of cryptocurrency, but maybe it's not going to stay there for a long without regulation. Maybe the government-based cryptocurrencies will come, which is coming slowly and slowly. Many governments are trying to launch their own cryptocurrency. So I'm not much sure about Bitcoin, Ethereum, this kind of cryptocurrencies, which is basically completely public and completely out of the scope of the regulations. But cryptocurrency is not blockchain. Blockchain is that ledger, that distributed ledger, that storage system, that a technology that let you store your data in a very secure way. It's immutable data. It's data integrity is almost highest. So there, blockchain has a great future. And even current days, although the implementation of blockchain is not that widespread in every area, although the scope of implementation is huge, but still in logistics, in many other sectors, implementation of blockchain is already there, and they are really benefiting out of it. So the future of blockchain is very bright. Future of cryptocurrency is it's very difficult to say at this point of time, because lots of governments are not very friendly with them, and they have their own valid reason for it. So, but blockchain is here to stay, just like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all new technologies. These technologies are emerging technologies. They just came, maybe uh, all these technologies. I mean, the real implementation of these technologies barely within a decade. So it's a very new technology, emerging technology. But they are changing the world of technology, the human lives. These technologies are here to stay. AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, these technologies are here to stay. These technologies will continue to change our social, economic, and every aspect of our life.
So, Mr. Bhaskar, so now I would want to jump into quantum computing. So, we know that to destructure a DNA and understand it, it takes at least minimum 36 years by a binary computer to do it, be it a supercomputer. But it can be done in a matter of couple of seconds using a quantum computing, if I'm not wrong. So, and I also heard a rumor that Google has breached the Bitcoin blockchain. So, what do you think about it?
Well, Google's breaching Bitcoin blockchain is rumor. I can't say much more about it, because since it's a rumor, it has not been supported. But yeah, I think quantum computer can break that one. And you see the Bitcoin blockchain or any other blockchain like Ethereum or this kind of blockchain has not been developed to withstand the brute force attack of quantum computer. Quantum computer is going to be a leap forward in computing, in speed, in terms of processing speed and the computation speed. Take your focus out of blockchain for a while, keeping the quantum computing in your mind. Lots of things can be broken. I mean, all the banking system, financial system, healthcare system, all the softwares, all the systems we are using can be broken, can be bridged, can be changed. I mean, you can start a massive, digital war with quantum computing system. So all these things has to be changed, and it will change. See, I mean, if you go back, say, 20 years, okay, when, or maybe 30 years, when there was 386 or 486, there was computation power was very less. And that time, which was unbreachable, uh, can be easily bridged right now with this uh, little modern generation of processors because of their processing technology. With the change, with the advancement of the processing, the hardware, software also evolves. So naturally, Bitcoin has been developed when there was no quantum computers. So it was good enough for the hardware or the system. It was when it was developed. Now, when the quantum computer is coming, it will evolve as well. The Bitcoin technology also evolved. The new Bitcoin, sorry, not Bitcoin technology, the blockchain technology. The blockchain technology will evolve. The newer blockchain will come, which will be at par with the quantum computing. With quantum computer, you cannot bridge it. So you will not be able to bridge it. So that's how it will. That's how the evolution happens, even for the technology world. The new progress comes in the hardware side, and at par with the hardware, the software changes. So it's a complete ecosystem. Future of blockchain with quantum computer, at least to me, is very bright because with quantum computer, the enormous computing power will come. So the blockchain will be more powerful. Uh, if you think, in current days, the blockchain cannot be used for real-time applications because the transaction rate, the blockchain transaction rate is very low. I mean, even the highest transaction rate is around 20,000. But with quantum computer, blockchain can be more secure. That the quantum computer cannot breach it, as well as the transaction rate may go very very high, maybe 100,000 or maybe 10 billion transactions a second. Then you can do any kind of real time application only with blockchain. So the future is very bright because the core concept, the technology, which is the blockchain, is having the built on the technology, the concept is here to stay. And with the aid of quantum computer, this technology is going to be even evolved further, much better. I don't see quantum computer as enemy of blockchain. Rather, I see is a friend of blockchain. It's going to push blockchain further to be a more advanced technology.
Mr. Bhaskar, what do you think about the widespread adoption of blockchain would be for you?
See, the funny part is when a new technology comes in, to utilize it commercially, people try to put everywhere. You cannot just make everything replace. Every application using blockchain replacing the existing database system or which you use. So it has its own use case, and within the scope of the blockchain, blockchain will be pretty widespread. But it has its own use case and its own scope. Within its scope, it will be there. It is there to stay, even in future. But within its own scope, you cannot just use a blockchain to cook pizza. It's not possible practically. So it has its own scope, and it will be there.
Mr. Bhaskar, it was a pretty informative session on blockchain and the use of quantum computing in blockchain and the future of blockchain. I would like to thank you for giving us this information.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making me the part of this webcast.